Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. During the past while, as you know, it's been many months that we've been focused on discussions on the topic of HOCD, and we've had many videos and discussions on this on live streams or on standalone videos that you have access to it 24/7 on this channel. We've talked about it in different angles. We've used scientific understanding through the presentations that experts of the neuroscience of habit and experts in discussions about the role of the different parts of the brain in the OCD and subsets of OCD, HOCD being one. And we've discussed it from all angles. And all those links of the experts are available under the description of my videos for you to enlighten yourself and inform yourself from the studies that have been done in different universities and been presented by different psychologists, psychotherapists, scientists. And it's all there for you to know that basically this is just a thought driven and there's no biological truth to it. And when you feel something about this whole business of a heterosexual thinking or thoughts popping into his head that he or she is homosexual, these are just thought-based. There's no truth to it, and you got to enlighten yourself about the facts of it, the science of it, and then reason with yourself and figure out what this is all about, and that is irrelevant to you. And this is how brain works. It makes thoughts. And you have to understand that. While there are many styles and pathways through psychologists and psychotherapists that can help you to overcome this false feeling of being a homosexual when you've always been a heterosexual, and that is what you love and like to be. And there are many roots to it, of fear and the fact that you love who you are, and the fear of not having it hits you, and then all the other information that is floating around in the internet, and the lifestyles of different lifestyles are being exposed to people, personal lifestyle of people is constantly being talked about in the news and so on. All that information gets to your head, and the head brain being the apparatus that makes thoughts grabs onto it and makes thoughts, not caring about what gender you are, just makes thoughts, because that's what it does. And 90,000 thoughts a day are produced by the brain, but none of them are relevant to you. So you're supposed to understand your role in this entity of you, that you're not the brain and the brain is not you. You're not thoughts and thoughts are not you. You're above it all. And you are the judge. You decide, you choose, you select. Just like you select what you're looking at, that doesn't make what you're looking at to be you. What you're hearing doesn't mean what you're hearing is you're the composer of it. Statics or symphony. And what thoughts pops up in your head doesn't mean those thoughts represent you or you have any interest in them. This is what these things do, but you're supposed to be the one who chooses, selects to see if it's useful to you or not, and you diss them and ignore them when you know they are irrelevant and meaningless to you. And you shouldn't be falling into the trap of thinking, oh, thought showed up, then it means something. It knows more than I know about myself. No. Thought is part of you, meaning it's an ability, that it is part of the faculties that you have taken, employed to accommodate yourself in accomplishing things that you need to accomplish, facilitating things that you want to accomplish. These are tools that you have: eyesight, hearing, thoughts. These are not you. These are your apparatus, your tools, the features, the capabilities, the abilities. You know, like a mechanic wants to go fix an engine. He's got tools, screwdrivers, different stuff, which I don't remember what they are, and I used to be good at it. So you have to understand that they are tools in your toolbox. They're not you. You're the one who carrying the toolbox. You're the one who owns these things, but these things are separate systems. They have their own functions, especially the brain. The eyes sees what's out there. Ears hear what's out there coming. Thought conjures up things on top of the fact that you can employ it to calculate things, figure out things, design things, produce things, learn things. That's your thinking and your direct use of the brain to use it for your purposes. But the other part of the brain catches on to what it does, 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. It's got nothing to do with what you wanted it to produce. It just produces by itself. It's a thought manufacturing plant. That's what brain is, part of it at least. So tonight I want to talk to you about reasonability of what you're thinking. And what are the roots of it beside of all the roots that we talked about? Look, you have to logically, intellectually understand what you're actually saying. Being a heterosexual or being a homosexual is a gender. Gender doesn't change. It's the chromosome. It doesn't have a time lease on it. It doesn't have a time fuse on it. That for the first 20 years you'll be this, and then after that you'll be this, and then eventually you'll be that again. Does that make sense to you? It's ludicrous, but I know where it comes from. Beside the fact that I believe there is certain kind of a devious intention to confuse young men and young people of the world about their sexuality. Who benefits from it? I don't know. You figure it out yourself. What's the motivation? I don't know. You figure it out yourself. But obviously, the presentation of this whole business of somebody turning gay is bogus. Because the chromosomes don't have time span or a fuse that they kick in or they kick out. If you're born heterosexual, that's how you're going to be the rest of your life. Regardless of what thought comes into your mind at what age. That you're not this, you're not that. That's thought. We just talked about it. If you're born homosexual, that's what you're going to be. Regardless of what thought shows up in your head. It's the chromosome. It's not a delayed fuse thing. If that was the case, then nobody would know what they are, because from this year to this year, it could be this, from that year to that year. Something else could go change the chromosome, and from that year and that year, again, something else could. I mean, does that make sense to you? But what they have done, because people have been disrespectful, vicious, uncivilized, and we're making people who happen to be homosexual uncomfortable with their treatment in the world was trying to teach people to behave balanced and properly and respect each other regardless of your gender, religion, or creed and whatnot. That was the whole thing, yeah? In order to make you to understand that there is no difference between the homosexual guy and the heterosexual guy, they're all humans who need to be benefiting from the same rights and enjoy their lives and prosper and accomplish what they need to be accomplishing in this world and have a hand in the success of this community of the world at large. So they try to educate people. For that reason, in different movies and series on TV, 90210 is one of them, that a character who was popular with the girls and all that, so forth, and everybody liked him, and he was, and then in the middle of the series, he was introduced that he is gay. So the whole idea was to make people see that whether you're gay or not gay, you're just as normal as anybody else and just as wonderful as anybody else, just have a character and like or dislike like anybody else. So they made a nice boy character, everybody likes him, and then showed that this very nice person can also not be heterosexual, be gay. But that was the purpose, to show that Same nice guy who was heterosexual in the movie, was introduced as heterosexual. They turned him, and now he is playing as a homosexual in the movie, to see that this is the same guy, in order to educate people that not to be disrespectful to people who are not heterosexual, and understand that we're all equal. But there is no medical base on the fact that a heterosexual guy will turn gay. Nobody turns gay. You either are born gay or you're born not gay. You're either born heterosexual or you're born homosexual. Now, depending on how comfortable you are in order to experience the way that you you prefer, that's a different story. That has nothing to do with your chromosomes to be changing and have not been in this way from the beginning. And if it was in this way from the beginning, you would have been acting exactly as your gender, your chromosomes are, homosexual. But if you haven't been born homosexual, you have not been interested in that, and you're mixing up the feelings that at childhood we boys all could have, because we have so many questions and we don't even understand what sexuality is at the time, and we could like another friend of ours, and because we're children, we still are growing up. At the age of 14, 15, you still don't know. You can be liking another guy because he's nice, kind, smiles to, and you want to feel that you have friends, and that kind of a compassion, that kind of a emotion, it makes you feel or think, because of introduction of the concept of homosexuality. Then instead of thinking that this is a normal feeling that guys could have as a young men towards each other, a positive feeling and friendship and feeling safe by being friend with each other, you mix it up, think, oh, because they talk of homosexual, this could be homosexual. No, it's not. And then you make a mistake and branding yourself in something that lodges in your head according to what's been introduced in the society, and branding it as, and then you won't be able to freely be in touch with your emotions, that this is a normal emotion of a heterosexual at a certain age, and this is not a notion of not being heterosexual. And then that lodges in your head, plus being bullied in the school, being called names. And in school, many of you who feel these sort of thoughts in your head most probably are very nice kids and come from good families and never intended to bother anybody, and never did. You were high class, you were taken care of, your family loved you, you were a good kid, good mentality, of a good background, and you had no harm in mind for anybody. And that intimidated the kids who were assholes and could not really consider themselves valuable. So what do? They pick on someone who's a nice kid and has got no malice in him and is obviously comes from a good family. They pick on him because he's a good quality person in order to chisel some value to themselves. Look, if someone wants to steal, in most movies you see, they won't go rob a mom and pop store. They go rob a bank because a lot more valuable stuff in there. So if you're picked on at school and bullied because you've obviously been viewed as a valuable, higher echelon person, so they attack you in order to feel they can maybe steal some kind of a value from you and feel elevated. And most of you, on top of that, were not part of any team in school. We're not part of a group in school. So you don't have that experience of being a team member, to be interacting with all other boys and feel safe as being in a group and have that kind of a psychological security or that safety in mind that you are part of. So now when you see someone who smiles at you and is a friendly person, you like that and you feel a certain kind of a interest toward that person. But that's not a homosexual feeling. That's a feeling of feeling safe, a friend, another friend. Perhaps just like if you're good looking and if he's good looking, you feel commonality. If he's of good positive mentality, good behavior and manner, it's a commonality. If he's got no malice in mind, he's normal and balanced, it's a commonality. You'll be attracted to that friend as a good emotional interaction. But that, because you have not been part of a team and having had these interactions and part of the group in the school, in your life, you think this interest is an homosexual interest, while it is just a friendly and feeling secure and being happy to be part of this friendship, which brings you a comfort and security. And that's normal, it has nothing to do with homosexuality. So these are some of the basis of why you react when you see another man, another guy that you're friend with, and you feel, oh, I like him. Well, that's okay. It's okay to like another guy as a friend, but you make a mistake because you haven't had this experience. You think that's supposed to mean something. It doesn't mean anything. Now, hold on here. I'll have a cup of tea and we'll continue.